Welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Creators and Keepers, created by the team at Cultureverse. Our guest today is Jason Stefan Johnson. Stefan is a painter and photographer from Detroit. He recently exhibited his work in our gallery in Ann Arbor, Michigan. His paintings are large and vibrant depictions of Black men and women. He describes his work as inherently afro-centric, stemming from a need to see strong, beautiful, revolutionary images of Black art depicting the struggles and triumph of Black individuals. We met Stefan through local community builder and artist Trevor Stone. Stefan allowed us to create 2 virtual galleries for his work, which can be found on his website, RCKBNY.com. Welcome, Stefan, and thank you for speaking with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So a question that I have for you is making art a choice you make, or is it something you're drawn to?
A choice you make or something you're drawn to? I'll say both. I think you're drawn to it. I mean, it was something that I've been drawn to as far as like just therapy. It just feels good to create something, one. It's probably one of the first times I was like achieving anything on my own, especially when I was little. It was something that only I could do, so like it was really just me focused, and I didn't have to worry about too much. And yeah, so then like you choose to do it because it's like, all right, I'm good at this, and I have something I want to say. And I think the trick was when I realized I had something I wanted to say, and I was trying to figure out how to say it, or then also what even it was that I was trying to say for real. So I was kind of like a self-actualizing thing, but yeah.
All right, so I guess that's the question, is what do you want to say with your work? What is your art saying to the world?
I don't know, I have a lot of theories on things. And I mean, for a while I was just making it was just practice. I was like, all right, let me see if I can do this. Let me draw people to see if I can draw like how real I can draw people. And then I started realizing like, yo, I don't really care to draw people that look like a photograph. I want it to look like art. Salvador Dali is he's definitely my favorite artist, and he's like my inspiration for the surrealism of it is really cool. And I like the thought that he put into his artwork and all the intellect he used to like kind of create these images. So I don't know, I kind of forgot. What was the question again?
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to say is I'm like all these theories and thoughts that I have in my head about the world in general, be it like relationship-wise or political-wise or I don't know, just trying to see what that looks like on. Like if a picture's worth 1,000 words, then like, what are the words that people use to describe this, or how can I get this to be described in a certain way, but in like somebody's own words? Like for me, like your art's only gonna mean what it means to you. So the idea is like, all right, so how can I get the feeling across so that people can kind of get strung along the same kind of thought process? That's the meanings that I'm trying to get.
And so the figures you paint, are they real or imagined?
Some of a little bit of both. Some of them are real, some of them are imagined. So I had a series that I took straight from Afro-Punk Festival for 3 of my portraits. And I kind of tweaked them around to kind of, again, go into like a thought process of like, all right, so why is this different? What is this supposed to be saying? What does this mean? But yeah, those are real people. Everything starts from like real like models. So it's like I'll have an idea and then I'll either pose for it myself or I have like me or somebody else pose for it. And like, so some of them are hands, so I use like people's hands for a photograph and I kind of use that as like a reference drawing. There are some paintings where I just go in and I just start drawing, and I never really know sometimes what it is it's going to be until it's finished. It's always changing.
So you choose to depict Black people and Black lives. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it was just normal, really. So again, some things kind of unveil themselves as you go. But when I started drawing, that's all I was drawing because I'm Black. Most of the people around me were Black. That's an experience that I'm aware of. So it's like you kind of draw what you know. So yeah, that's why I started drawing that. Into why, like when I started realizing I was doing it, I started focusing on it a little bit more. I started realizing, like as I said in the thing, like I remember like Black art always seemed a little depressing to me. It always made me like, I don't know, it was just too heavy and like almost daunting or like beautiful, but it's like art feels a way and it's supposed to make you feel like art is like how you make somebody feel. I think that's really important. And the art that I was looking at, as amazing as it was, didn't always make me feel the best inside. So that's why I use bright colors when I paint us, because like even if you're trying to tell something or get something off, like it doesn't always have to look depressing. It doesn't always have to be a scene of like something like triggering. Like this, like as a Black person, like some images are just triggering. Especially when it's like all focused around one specific area. So I was like, there's gotta be a better way to depict like these stories. So, which is why there's gold. I use gold leaf foil in it. I use bright colors. I play with the contrast. I like pastel. It's like very soft. It's moody to me. But yeah, so yeah, that's why I use. So yeah, it wasn't like a thing where I was like, oh, I'm only gonna draw Black people. It's like, no, I'm Black. That's like if you see like an artist who's white, they paint white people. Like I feel like it's just the normal thing to do. You reflect your environment. Yeah.
And what I like about, or I guess what I find interesting about what you just said was, you have the ability to kind of control the narrative a bit of representing people who look like you in a positive and vibrant way.
Yeah.
And what do you think that's, so if a child walks in here to view the work, what do you want that kid to experience when they're looking at the portraits of these strong, vibrant, gorgeous people?
Beauty and power. I want you to feel powerful. I want you to feel like you're looking at a piece of art. Like I want you to be really happy. I want it to be inspiring. I want it to like, I don't know. It's really cool when you see kids smile or somebody's looking at it or they're just staring at it for a while, and it's not like I don't know. It's inspiring some thought outside of like negativity. I feel like even if it's like, oh, what does this mean? Da, da, da. So people still focus on more of the meaning of it instead of like, and it's like more exciting. So I appreciate that takeaway more. So. I mean, yeah, I would have to ask. I've never asked a kid, like, how does it make them feel yet? So that's actually something I'm now going to start doing. Like, how does it make you feel when you look at this?
So when you were a kid, did you consider yourself an artistic child?
100%.
Okay.
That's the thing, though. When you're a kid, especially, well, at least my generation-wise, as kids, art wasn't always, like, the cool thing. But I always knew I was really creative. I always knew I was very artistic. I dove right into it when I was realizing all these things, but when you get a different reaction from it, you kind of like put it to the side. So I stopped drawing. Like I started drawing when I was in elementary school, and I kind of stopped like in middle school, going into high school, because I know everybody was like, "Oh, that's weird. You're weird." Nobody wants to be weird as a kid, so you just try to like fit in as much as possible. So, yeah, it wasn't really like cultivated for me at the time. I got back around to it when I was in college. Like, yeah, I was doing accounting. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. I just knew I wanted a job. I wanted to be stable, make good money. So I was like, oh, let's go into business administration, and then you want to focus. So I'm like, I can do accounting. It's simple enough. I kind of understand this. And then, yeah, though, junior year, I was trying to switch it over. They wouldn't let me. But I think I started drawing again. I remember I used to tell all my friends, that's funny. I used to tell all my friends that I was an artist because everybody would like try to draw. I'm like, oh, I can draw. I'm sitting here just, everybody like, oh, you can draw, okay, blah, blah, blah. But nobody really believed it until like, I don't know, one day I just started drawing again. Everybody was like, oh, like, man, that's cold. Like you said you could draw. Like, I honestly didn't believe you, right? I'm like, oh, word? Which is fair because, like, I don't even think I didn't realize that I was neglecting that side of me for so long. You just kind of start living life. But, when I got back into it and then I realized how much I loved it and how much it did for me, I was like, oh, I want to do this. So I went to my counselor and tried to, like, switch it over. But she was like, yo, you invested too much in accounting already. It's like, it's a waste of money just to go switch. So I figured, like, all right, I'll get this accounting degree and I'll just do art on the side, da, da, da. So then I tried the minor, but I graduated before I can get a minor degree. But I've always known I was an artist. But until I started like drawing again in college is when I really, really, really got into like my creative bag. And I just started enjoying, I started enjoying things a lot more. Yeah.
So as you found your way back to art, did you find yourself seeking a community to be a part of people to make art with?
Not immediately. I didn't know it was important because, again, I wasn't in that world. But gradually, yeah. When I started taking the art classes, I took a few intro to art classes, and I met some really cool people. And which is also really, those was like one of the only classes I stay after. Like, I started getting A's like in everything like when I started doing art. But I don't know, we stay after class. I be talking to my professors. I realized how much I was really into it. I'm like sitting here like, I'm asking about different artists. I'm researching stuff. I'm like finding other people who's doing art, and we're just going back and forth on like styles and like, I'm like, oh, how you do that, da, 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 or, which is cool. I was always the second best artist in the class, which is really cool for me because I knew I was really good, but I always knew I can get better because that person over there is amazing. Which the backstory was like, it's always like, oh, they started drawing and they started doing art when they was younger and they just never stopped. Well, I took years between. So I'm like, oh, so you're ahead of me because you didn't take a break. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of like, you leaned into it throughout your life. And that excited me. I'm like, oh, so if I just keep leaning into this, then I can get better at it because I'm already good and I'm kind of just starting all over again. At that point I started hanging around a lot more artists. Like we just all hang out. But I don't think in my mind that I knew that that's what I was doing. It wasn't until like after I graduated where I actually started seeking other like artists, not even like an artist, like anybody creative, anybody like with a hustle, anybody trying to do something or build something or create something are the people that I found that I have more in common with. The conversations are better, like the energy's like different. That's when I started taking off. Like, oh, okay. So this is actually my community that I need to like focus on more. Mm-hmm. So, some relationships you fall aside because they're not really on the same page, which is fine. So things are seasonal sometimes. You got to find your tribe. So, yeah, eventually I got to the point where now I have like a good community around me. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so you grew up in Detroit and you've lived in Ypsi and you're back in Detroit. Mm-hmm. I guess, can you talk a little bit about the art scene that you find yourself in and around at this point in your life?
Yes. I was born in Detroit. I moved around a lot in the metro. I lived in Inkster, Taylor, Ann Arbor, Ypsi, then now back to Detroit. The community I find now, so when I had an art community in Ypsi because I was there after college, so I was in Ypsi for like 7 years. Started missing Detroit. It's small. Ypsi's small. It's like only so much you can do. Yeah, and Detroit just had this art scene. I remember we started going, again, after I started getting into art, I said, when you're in the community, you start noticing things. So I'm like, all right, there's an art scene all the way in Detroit that I wasn't aware of. And I'm like, yo, how long has that been there? Like, what is it? Like, who's running it? It was just a lot of curiosity around it. So I'm like, all right, I feel like that's where I need to go. So that's when I moved back to the city. And yeah, like, it's down there. It's a little different. It's like separate, different art communities. And I know I was talking with this guy, Matt Eaton. He's the executive over at Red Bull House of Art, which they just closed their doors. I know he said they're doing online now. But he was just telling me about how many art scenes there are and how many people there's a lot of players going on, but nobody's really coming together. And I was like, So part of me was like, I want to try to see if I can fix that part. So right now, yeah, I'm in the middle of just trying to figure it out for myself and still trying to build. Like, I know artists, and I've also picked up photography, and I've been making more money on photography, and it's easier. Like, I can take pictures and edit quick. Paintings take a while. So, yeah, I know a lot of photographers. I know a lot of stylists, fashion designers. I've been meeting different artists here and there. We'll have to work more together for sure. Mm-hmm. That's the plan, at least. But for now, I'm still finding my space in that area.
So as you continue to create and find your way as an individual and as part of a community, where do you see your work heading? Where do you want to take your paintings and your photography?
I'm ambitious, so ideally. So I guess if we're gonna start brick by brick, right? I want to eventually have my own gallery. I want to have a studio. I want to have a photography studio. If we just focus, I have a lot of things I'm trying to do, but if we just focus around art right now, then yeah, those are the things that I've been focusing on. Yeah, so I throw my own, you throw your own shows. I like throwing my own events because when you're hands-on, if I think about everything when it's my event. So I think about the marketing, I think about the merch, it's kind of selling it. It's like branding. So I'm figuring out how to get the brand out more. How do I get my name out more? And it's really cool because when you go down, you can go somewhere and people see something, they're like, oh, I recognize you, or oh, I've seen that, or so I'm like, all right, so let me put that down more. So yeah, big picture, I don't know, I want to create an art scene that kind of incorporates all of the city. I want to get to a point where my show is a big thing where it brings out everybody oh, let's go see this. I'm really into submersive events. So if I have an art gallery, it's just not paintings. I like it to be you walk into almost a different world, like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing. I have all these ideas that I just don't see yet in the art community. And I think my first hiccup was oh, it's gonna cost money, but now I'm moving into all right, so what's the creative answer to this right now? So, because sometimes you just want what you want, your idea, you just want that to happen now. And I think it's important to focus on the growth of it. So you got to start somewhere. So do what you can in that area for now, and then just keep making it better as it keeps going. So I don't know, my answer's all over the place, but I have big plans, but I'm building up to it is, I guess, the short answer for that.
Awesome, that's great. Well, we look forward to seeing what's to come for you, and we really enjoyed having you as our first podcast guest, but also our first gallery artist as well in our physical space at 309 South Main here in Ann Arbor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me in to be first for all that, honestly.
Yeah.
It feels good. It's a little, you get a little nervous about it, but I don't know, it's fun. This is fun. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you just jumping in with us and learning with us as we go. So it's been awesome meeting you, and I know that we'll be in touch and we'll stay friends.
Thank you. Yes, same.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks, Stefan.